Hi everyone, and just give some people some time to get on here. As everyone knows, I've just been kind of like doing these lives very much pop up because, I do them when free time pops up. So when I get a free moment, some free time pops up, I pop up and I do these lives. And luckily they're recorded. We try to get them over to YouTube, but Facebook sometimes be a little funny. Um, so I hope everyone is doing really well. Today, what I wanted to discuss, I took a poll on our private group, Sans Espiritismo y la 21 División, to see some new topics. And what was requested was for me to do on spiritual protection in the 21 divisions y la 21 divisiones and Vodou. Hi Mambo Sandy, hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing well. So as always, like, follow, comment, share the video if you care, share if you dare, go ahead and share. And if you think the video will benefit someone especially, go ahead and share. And as always, if you'd like to make a donation, you can feel free to do so via Cash App, cash symbol Hector Salva, or PayPal help@mysticalwork.com. Right? You're most welcome, King Mentality, and I hope you're doing well. Hi, Mambo J. So I hope everyone's doing awesome and splendidly well. I got my little setup here, thanks to Mambo Sandy. Got my little, ring light and all that. And today I want to discuss protection in 21 divisions and Vodou. A lot of people often ask me, a very common question is, are Haitian Vodou and 21 divisions the same? No, they're not exactly the same, but they share the same roots, and we serve many of the same lois. Hello, Sandra, hope you're doing well. And we share many of the same lois. We serve differently. We work with things differently. We use different terminology. Some terminology is the same, okay? So today we're talking about protection. And a lot of people don't realize how important it is for you to have spiritual protection. There are a number of things that can affect you in your life. One of the most common ones that when we discuss spiritually is black magic. But that's not the only thing. Good morning. That's not the only thing that you're liable to need protection from. Life, it's a dangerous game. And so there are many different types of protection, and there are many things that can be protected using the spiritual work. Aside from just things that happen in life, negative energy can come from other people as well as negative spirits. And negative spirits can be sent to you or basically sent to attack you. You can be late, as far as black magic is concerned, you could have what we call an enviación, where they have sent to you, okay, a dead, or an expedition where they've sent to you a dead, they've done black magic on you. And in that case, you have a spirit that may attach itself to you, or it may come, mess you up, and move along. Very often, it will attach itself to you. You also have hexes and curses. Hexes and curses are what I like to call one and dones. That means that they generally are done, and then the curse hits you, you're affected, negative stuff happens, and then the curse is kind of done, but it leaves a negative force behind it. It leaves that stain of that negativity behind it, which can also cause more negativity to happen. You have cases where black magic is done to send spirits. In that case, that black magic is much stronger, And in that case, that black magic sticks and works for over a period of time way longer and way stronger upon the victim. Aside from that, you have jealousy, envy, okay, which we call as envidia. Okay, you have the evil eye. The evil eye is often related to jealousy and envy that gets directed to you. And haterade that gets directed at you on a regular basis. Okay? Unfortunately, the truth in the world is that oftentimes people do not want to see you doing well or do not want to see you doing better than they are doing. Greetings, Zifa. Hope you're doing well. A lot of times people don't want to see you doing better than what they're doing. And even that happens even amongst people you call your friends and even amongst people you call your family. Sometimes, as the Loa have said before, Judas was an apostle too. So not everyone is always happy for you because you're doing well or wants to see you doing well. Even sometimes people that you help do not want to see you doing well and are sometimes envious, hate-filled, and jealous of you just because of the fact that you were able to help them and they felt like maybe you were in a better position than what they were in, and they might not feel like they should have ever had to ask you for help. In life, you're not an island. You don't live by yourself. You're not all by yourself in this big old globe. Sometimes you're going to need help. That's part of life. It takes many hands. One hand washes the other, the two hands wash the face, as we say. So that's another thing that happens. Aside from that, when you're under spiritual or psychic, energetic attack from people, okay, that can affect your health. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh my God, I'm sick, da-da-da. I didn't realize that this can affect your health. It can affect your health. It can affect your day-to-day living. It can cause you pain. It can cause car accidents. People die in magic. Okay? That's why, it's funny because, there's some serious things, and some of the things that I see happening in this realm or communities, I find somewhat entertaining or somewhat laughable, because basically this shit can be very dangerous. Okay? And a lot of people think that it's something where you can just play with it. This is not a game. In fact, in Haiti, we have a song, right, that we say, Moyantre onanakua, mapemande sipagin gramuno onanakua. It says, I'm asking if there's grown-ups. And if there's grown-ups in the temple, because if there's children, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to leave. Because these are not child's games. Right? And these things can be dangerous. They can be helpful. The sword cuts both ways. It doesn't choose. The person who's carrying the sword chooses how to cut. So, in the 21 divisions, in Vodou, we have many different types of protection that exist in order to keep you from these things. In order to keep you safe from these things. Before I start getting into those, what I want to give you a little bit of a word of caution, however, glorious day, darling. A word of caution here is we always say you don't get a protection and jump in front of a Mack truck. So a lot of people, they like to go get protections and then they want to go test it out. Don't test it out, sweetie. The point of a protection is it's going to protect you when you don't know that you're getting hit. It's not going to protect you from you stepping in your own shit, from you going ahead and creating shit and stepping in it. It can't protect you from you. It can't protect you when you see a Mack truck coming and you're going to jump out in front of it, right? So it can't protect you from you. You can't get a protection and go around and being messy and expect that protection to hold. Okay? You cannot go ahead and be a messy individual and then think that it's going to be easy for you to be protected. If you're someone who causes a lot of gossip and you're a gossiper and a bit dramatic, you can't expect to do a protection to stop gossip and you not be affected in a negative way. Sometimes if you're guilty of something, you can do something and basically shit on yourself. Cut your foot. Okay? So you gotta be aware of these things. If, however, you're like many people who are basically just trying to live a good life and you're trying to be at peace and do your thing, etc., etc., a protection is going to stop a lot of that nonsense and that jazz that comes from not having protection. So, one of the protections that is very common in the 21 divisions, Vodou, is, right, a resguardo. A resguardo is usually made as a protection item that you carry on yourself that's used to protect you against various things, right? And you can have resguardos prepared for you against illness, against the police. Yeah, you can get a protection against the police, against illness, against mal de ojo, evil eye, envidia, jealousy, or pendiente, de tener la gente pendiente, so that people aren't constantly watching you, okay? These are often amulets. People here in the U.S. call these amulets, where they're items that you carry with you, and their purpose is protective in nature. Okay? So that's one level of protection. And in actuality, that's one of the lighter levels of protection. Okay? You're most welcome. Right? That's one of the most basic levels of protection. And if you're a follower on this path, you probably should have one if you don't have one already. If you're interested in us preparing one for you, you can contact us, help@mysticalwork.com. But that's one of the most basic types of protection. And resguardos can be prepared in many different ways. And one of the common ways that we do in Vodou, that we prepare protections, is to mount those protections inside jewelry items. Regular looking jewelry items. That's why you'll often see hungans and mambos and people of the priesthood, as well as people within these traditions, with many various pieces of nice, beautiful jewelry, because the jewelry acts as protections. And those protections are prepared in certain ways so that the jewelry can hold a spirit of protection in it that protects its owner and whoever is wearing that protection. Okay? So that's one of the most basic forms of protection. And this is kind of across the board. If you're in many other traditions, they have many other things that they prepare for you to carry on you and keep you protected from general negativity. Oftentimes people also prepare what we call Quadratus, necklaces of protection. And various traditions have the various ways that they prepare those necklaces. Oftentimes, I'm going to tell you something, is that if you're in the midst of an attack and you're being actively attacked, doing a protection isn't going to do crap for you. At that stage, very often you're going to need professional assistance. You're going to need a professional spiritual worker to come in and give you the clean you up, remove everything, and then give you a protection. Okay? A lot of people try to put a protection after things are already a hot damn mess and there's an attack and there's a mess inside the house. It's like locking up your house, right? While the inside is like basically being flooded and filled with dirt and there's a pipeline that's busted in it and putting a lock on it. It's ineffective. right? You need to clean that stuff up first before you go ahead and lock the doors. Otherwise, when you come back, it's only going to be worse, right? So let me shut that. It's only going to be worse. You have to get that clean and cleared out of the system, out of the person's life. And this is very important for people who are spiritual workers, right? Sometimes you don't realize it, especially if you haven't had what you've needed as a spiritual worker. Yeah, I know. If you haven't had what you needed as a spiritual worker. So basically, and I don't blame such spiritual workers because these days it's not easy to find uh, people to give you really what you need. There's a lot of people out here that don't want to give you what you need for real, or they don't know themselves. And maybe because it wasn't available for them. So that's one. So the Vodou is something that basically a lot of people carry, a lot of people have, and they may have various ones, and they may carry many of them for various different purposes. Along those same lines, there are protections, right, in our tradition, or puntos de protección, that you put on a car. If you drive around your car, you should have that protected. Okay? The point of a protection of the car is so you don't die in a car accident. Okay? You can't go ahead, have a car, put a protection on it, get drunk and be driving, or be driving reckless, and expect that your car is going to be protected. But if you're a driver who respects the road and respects other people and respects how things should be done, then your protection on your car is so that you are able to walk out of that car should anything happen. That's the point of car protection. So that if you get into an accident, you're going to walk out that accident. Okay? So that's along those same lines. The next layer that you need to look at protecting is your home. So, and these are prepared in various ways. A person can come into your house, the brujo can come in, they could put a punto de protección. And there are a few different protections of homes. Okay, so number one is usually protections are placed at the doors, because this is where things are coming in and out of, and so you want to have a protection that's not letting anything in and just letting anything out. You don't want somebody coming into your house, walking in, leaving their bad shit, and walking out and taking their good shit. And and I'm gonna make this in a separate video, but if you are a spiritual worker, there are certain protections if you're doing spiritual work for other people that you should have in your altar. And that's going to be the live that I'm going to do for spiritual workers. There are certain protections you should have in your altar and in your home, and it doesn't matter if people actually come to your house or don't come to your house. A lot of spiritual workers these days do work at a distance where the person doesn't actually have to come. But there are certain protections that you should have even if no one comes, physically speaking. And if someone comes physically speaking, it's also important for you to have certain protections, especially such. And if you have a spiritual store, there's protections to be had. If you have a business of any sort, especially if you have a business where people are coming in and out the doors, you need to have a protection there. You might not be a witch, but you might live around witches, baby. You might not be a witch, but everybody's getting involved in the witch stuff. And let me tell you, bad spirits are easy to call. Okay? Bad spirits are easy to attract. Dabblers are able to call up bad spirits frequently. People who know very little are able to call up and draw negative spirits to assist them. there are a lot of hungry spirits of the dead and a lot of other hungry spirits that are looking for work. And as of late, for the dead, as of late, as I've seen, unemployment rate is at an all-time low. The dead are getting plenty of jobs. And it's really bad, as we always say, as my grandmother has said to me, everyone, is it's always easy to do bad. It's good that's hard. It's good that's rare. It's good that's hard to do. Bad work is easy to do. And a lot of people are able to do bad work with very little training, etc. Just having a little bit of ability, a little bit of power. And there's plenty of spirits willing to assist in such scenarios. So if you have a business, that needs protection. If you have children, those things need protection as well. Right? Children, I don't mean things, but those people in your life, they should also be protected as well. Realize that if you have a protection and you hang around the wrong crowd and you hang around a lot of people who are not protected, that can affect you. Right? Even though you might not be there selling drugs with everyone else, but you're in the trap house, when the raid comes, the police are going to take you too. Okay? Even though you're not selling drugs, but you're hanging out with a whole bunch of people that are selling drugs, you might get caught up in a mix-up too. And that shit happens more often than not. I could tell you of a story where I decided to hang out with someone who had a debt to a spirit, and that spirit was about to whoop them, and I went and I hung out with them, and I just happened to be there on the wrong day and the wrong time, and I got a whooping too. Just for hanging out with the wrong people at the wrong time. It happens. Right? So that's one. So those are all the various areas you're going to need to look at for protection. And someone here, Mambo Sandy, mentioned pets. You're going to want to protect your pets as well. Sometimes pets take the hit. Sometimes pets will take the hit for you. Sometimes animals that you have around you will take the hit, especially if you're being spiritually attacked. Right? So all these things are important to protect. So in the realm of the Vodou, which is something that many people carry, many people have, many people do, it's the lightest form of protection. And it's the most basic form. It's something that you're going to want to have. And you're going to want to have those things. Now, if you have a punto de protección or a misterio de protección that's been placed inside your house, there may or may not be, there may or may not be a physical object to that spirit. That punto or that spirit can be rooted or grounded into a specific area or wall within your house. So you have to watch out for that too. Okay? There's many ways to do these things. Well-versed brujos and brujas, they're going to know how to do these things in many different ways. So that's two. So now, next up. Alright? Next level up. The next level, before I go there, with your home, there's a few different protections in the home. One of them, like I prepared a protection for someone who lived in a house where they were having fires. You know how they have fires in California and everything? Or they were having fires like that. And there's a protection that can be done against fire, lightning. There's protections that can be done against flooding. And your house can be protected. This person who had the protection done against fires, the fires 2 or 3 houses down were burning. 3 houses down, all that was burning, but the fires got stopped at that point, and the house, it never reached that person's house. And every time the fires come, because they live in a very fire-prone location, they stop right there, and they stop right there, and they stop right there. When you have these protections, especially protections in the home, protections here, protections there, all those protections have to be maintained and heated up. They have to be taken care of. From time to time, they need to be heated up. In our tradition, in the month of December is the month of Luapetuo. Luapetuo is the hot spirits. A lot of the Luapetuo serve for protections. A lot of people who have protections are protected by Luapetuo. There's many different Lua within that nation, that nación, that division of Petuo, right? And if you have a godparent and you underwent a ceremony, you had a ceremony done of initiation, this is a good time to get a hold of them if you don't know, to get a hold of them to shofe, to heat up your protection. Shofe gadu. Heat up your guards. Heat up your protections. And there's various ways that godparents may do that, and they might teach you to do it, or they may have something that they do on your behalf. So that's the next layer, right? As we're going in there, we're getting into that next layer of protection. That next layer of protection is what we call guard. Or have a god. A god or a guard. God. Right? You have a guard. And a lot of times guards are placed inside the body. And a guard is connected with a lua. Most often a lua petuo. A petro lua. There are guards compared with other lua. And various lua have very specific guards that they can give you, that is specific to them. Some guard lua, some lua who are protection. Okay, 21 division, depending on where you're at, they call it lua guard. They call it guard, a gad. Lua gad. Lua gad. Right? So you can have a lua gad, you can have a lua de protección. It means the same thing. Okay? Certain lua can protect you against something and not something else. This is why a lot of times when people have guards or protecciones, they have various protecciones. It's not just one usually. Usually it's more than one. There's various god, various lua that they may have for protection. And there are certain god, certain protections that only certain lua can give you. There's a certain protection, to give you an example, from Ogubalenjo, so that if you eat poison, you throw up. You throw up the poison. When you eat the poison, automatically you get sick, you throw up the poison. You can't be poisoned. That's a protection that he gives. Right? There are some god that are cut into the body. So the priest or the lua, one or the other, cuts you. And in that cut, certain mixtures are placed depending on the lua, depending on the god. The mixture is placed. And that serves as the protection. And depending on the protection, it depends on the place in the body too. And the design of the cut, different lua have different mark. And those various mark are the different protections. And when those protections are given to you, you're instructed on how to understand those protections. There's other god that are given to you to take internally. You drink it. You can drink it like a tea or a potion. Right? For example, there's one that we give from Baron here, and that protection you drink, and that protection is against the police. The police won't be able to see you. The police stay away from you. So there are protections that you drink. Okay? The God that you drink, that when you drink that installs that spirit there. God usually have to be reheated, chauffé, bayomanji. You have to give them food, you have to serve them every so often, or you have to renew the God. Right? You have to get it refreshed. You have to make it fresh again. Okay? There are certain God that are given to you against magic, called magi. Right? So that if magic is sent to you, it blocks it. It blocks it. Some of them send it back. Some of them simply block and deflect. This is also an important point as why it's important for the people around you to be protected. Sometimes you may be protected if you're being attacked, but because you're protected, it hits what we call the weakest link. It hits someone else who is not as strongly protected. It'll either hit the weakest link, or it'll hit someone else who does not have that level of protection. And that person instead will be affected. So that's loi, God, loi petuo. Oftentimes the God loi are loi petuo. Right? They're usually given with petro loi. As we know, the petro loi are very fierce, very aggressive warriors. So that's the next layer of protection. You can have a resguardo. You can have a God. A God is when that spirit is placed with you for protection. And there's other ways other than drinking or cutting on the body. Depends on the God. Okay? That you can have that protection placed with you and with you. And that loi is going to fight any attack that comes to you. And if there's ever an attack that's just too much, that loi is going to send you the warning bells, and that loi is going to tell you, basically, you got to do this or you got to do that, or there's other things that need to be done in order to deal with the attack that you're dealing with. So that's that. Next layer of protection actually comes from initiation. Initiation is going to give you a level of protection that the other levels cannot give you. And that's because there's a certain connection that's made between you and your misterios, you and your luaces, you and your loi, okay, that allows their constant force to be around you, guiding you and protecting you, keeping you safe and strong. And during initiation, there's specific other God, specific other protections that can be given to you, but can only be given to you during those times when your system is very much open. And so then those protections can be placed in you so that when your system reseals, they're there. Okay? Initiation is one of the highest forms of protection. You do not need to be initiated at the highest level to be protected from people that are even in higher levels than you. also, there are some of us that no matter how many protections you get, we can find a way to touch you. There are some individuals and some things that no matter how hard you try, you may not be able to get away from or protect yourself from. This is why my grandmother always say, be careful who you mess with, because you don't always know. You don't always know what they have behind them or in their hands. So there are certain individuals that no matter what you do, as I always say, almost no one is untouchable. So it's very important that just because you have protection, there's a certain layer of protection that good character and being generally a good person does give you. So try that on for size as well, because protections can't protect you always from the repercussions of bad character, and protections cannot protect you against karma. Okay? Protections cannot protect you against karma. It's very important to understand. Some people got a whole bunch of protections, and they're like, why am I being protected? I'm not safe, I don't understand. Because sometimes you are being protected, but what you're getting back is your own karma, baby. And that karma is heavy, and you just can't accept the responsibility of what you've done. So, that part. So initiation, though, can give you a very strong form of protection. And as you will read in my book, however, there's one level of protection that I learned about way back. And you're going to read it about a little bit about it in my next upcoming book, Espiritismo. I forget the full name of it, to tell you the truth. It's available on Amazon and all them other booksellers, Barnes & Nobles, IndieBound, Diari, Yada, everywhere books are sold. And you can pre-order it. It comes out in February 2022. And what we call that is La Vista. Okay? La Vista means the vision. What it means is there's no greater protection than having spiritual sight and developing your spiritual ability to see. How many things do you think you could avoid if you knew and you had the sight to see of what was going to occur? How many problems do you think you could avoid? Many, millions. How many solutions would you find if you had the sight and you had developed your spiritual ability to see? Many, 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 many. So, my madrina always said, there is no protection bigger. There is no protection higher than the light and the sight. La luz y la vista. There's no protection higher than that. Because protections often protect you and you didn't even know. But when you can see, you can avoid, you can move, you can dodge, you can crouch, you can dodge, you can play the game properly. You know what routes to take, what routes not to take, where to walk, where not to walk. You know, if you go do this, this is what's going to come. If you go do that, that's what's going to come. So there's nothing higher than having well-developed spiritual capacities, well-developed spiritual abilities to the highest of your potential. Not everyone's going to get to every point spiritually. Not everyone's going to develop to every point spiritually. However, you can develop enough sight and spiritual power to be able to know what to do, when to do, and how to protect yourself, and how to avoid things, and how to walk on certain paths, so on and so on and so forth. That can be done. Most people have that capacity. However, that capacity is what we call the long route. It's slow and steady. It comes with time. And it comes with work and development. Okay? It's not, whereas many of these other protections, you can go to a brujo, you can go to a ungan, you can go to a mambo. They're going to be able to give them to you. They're quick. They're easy to receive. But la vista, that takes time. That takes work. That takes true development. That takes a guide. Okay? I was talking to one of my goddaughters after the ceremony, right? We just had a ceremony for Maitre Zili, and it was a private ceremony. So some people asked me like, hey, why didn't I announce it? Yada, yada. It was private. It was a private ceremony. I just wanted to give y'all a little clip of what we were up to. Okay? So that's why. But we had a private ceremony for Maitre Zili, etc. So my goddaughter said this very beautiful thing to me. And she's been on the path for quite some time. And she said, she realized in being on this path that this path is very much like trying to go get the tea from a special tea house. And I forget the name of the place but it was on Mount something. Mount Hero something. Okay? And basically this is the most delicious, most special tea in the world. But to do so, you have to climb a mountain. And you have to climb, the tea house is off the side of a cliff. So you have to go and climb the cliff. And many people die. And many people have died trying to get to that tea house to get to drink that tea. Because it's the best cup of tea in the world. It'll be the best cup of tea that you've ever tasted. In order for you to make it, however, to that tea house, you need a guide. Because there's no way you will make it. Because you're literally, to get to that tea house, you are hanging from the tips of your fingers off the side of a cliff. And if you fall off that cliff, you will fall to your death. And many people have died going to get that tea. And this is a real place. I wish I knew the exact name of it, but it's in another language. So this is a real place. It's on the side of a mountain, right? Many people have died. Why? Because that tea is so good, it's worth your life. And those people know it. But to get to the best of the best, it takes work, and it takes a lot. But what she kept on saying is, what she realized in this path is that you really need a guide. Because the main thing they instruct you over and over and over and over and over if you decide to climb that mountain is follow the guide. Listen to the guide. Do exactly as the guide says. Follow the guide, follow the guide, follow the guide, follow the guide, or you will lose your life. Right? And these things, it's very important to have a proper guide, proper physical guide, and follow your guide. If you don't, these things come out very expensive. Mistakes in these things can be very expensive, and I'm not talking about money. Money is not expensive. Y'all don't know nothing about expense if you think what's most expensive in the world is money. We're talking about life and time in life. which is the only limited thing everyone has. So she was just reiterating how, throughout this process, she's realized how much you need your guide. You need a good guide to be able to walk up that mountain, to be able to walk the sides of that cliff and get where you're going. So this is about protection in the 21 divisions in Vodou. These are things for you to now know, now you know, is basically you have resguardo. We went over loi de protección, loi GAD. We went over how you may receive those things. And we went over initiation as well as la vista. These are all various layers and levels of protection. We also went over the various things, that areas of your life you're going to want protection on. You're going to need protection on. Right? It's Mount Hua. Okay. Someone told me it's that Mount Hua where that T is located. All the various areas that you're going to need protection on. It's important for you to get connected with your loi. Okay? It's very important for you to be connected with your loi. And that's something that you may need to think about and consider how you can get that happening for you. Just to wrap up here, a few little announcements as we like to do. Okay? Before we let everyone go. Like, follow, share. Share this video. You care about others. Care about, someone. Maybe they're going through something. Sometimes people are going through things you have no idea about, even if you are close to them. So share. Share. Comment. We love to hear your comments. Any ideas or ideas for other topics. I have gotten some new ideas for some other topics that have been mentioned in the last video, in the last comments. So we'll be doing that. Upcoming November 13th is going to be Gede, the virtual Gede ceremony. You can attend virtually or in person. In person, we're going to be in Berlin, New Jersey, and that's going to be at 3 p.m. on the 13th. If you're attending virtually, we'll be getting those details out to you. So that's coming up really soon. There's a Facebook event. There's a Facebook event page for it. There's also the place where you can get the tickets, etc. What else? Calls while I'm doing a live. This always happens. Next, we're going to be doing some videos. The next one will probably be about 4 people who are spiritual workers, brujos servidores. And we have a few other lives, not really planned out, like I said. I pop up on here as I get time in between things. Lastly, if you like the lives, you'd like to donate to the mission that we have here in bringing truth, knowledge, and true knowledge about our ancestral practices and our traditions, you can donate to these lives via Cash App, cash symbol Hector Salva, or PayPal help@mysticalwork.com. If you need our help, you're more than welcome to email us. A lot of people have been asking me, how do you get a hold of us? help@mysticalwork.com. Reach out. We've been here since 1989. We're not going anywhere. Since 1989, help@mysticalwork.com. We're here. If you have any more suggestions for ideas for lives, feel free to leave those in the comments. If you're not aware, we have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the social medias. Plus we have newsletter that you can get on my website, hectorsalva.com. I look forward to hearing from all of you guys. Have a blessed week. Have a great week. If you're a member of Sanse Espiritismo en la 21 División, I'm going to do a short little quick clip, very short, of something, a little message that the Gede gave and a little recipe that the Gede gave this last ceremony about, keeping your energy high and up, because Gede says it's going to be a lot of exhaustion and low energy between now, we are now in October 2021, up until January. So we're going to be doing that pretty soon, and many blessings, and keep the faith.